Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Whatta podcast, episode 19. 19 of these. That number doesn't sound that large, but it's a pretty big amount, especially for like 40-minute long, once a week episodes. Like, that is a lot. We're jumping right into it. Firstly, I got bored. I made one of those anti-Valentine's Day playlist on Valentine's Day. It was very ironic. I didn't realize. I was like, yeah, I'm just going to do this. And then I finished it and I went, oh, it's Valentine's Day. This is probably going to look bad. But it's actually really good. It is a full bop. But one of the songs in it, Christina Perri's Jar of Hearts. Hey, if you know that song, cool. It's a pretty solid song. I first heard it in elementary school. I don't know if that makes me old or Christina Perri old. But it got me like going through other things, right? And I was like, well, I also really liked 1,000 Years, which I know is a part of the Twilight soundtrack, right? Hey, I'll admit it. I've watched all the Twilight films. They're kind of trash, but I think they're the right amount of trash that if you watch it with someone with a sense of humor, you will get through them and either pick them apart horribly or just have a really great time enjoying them for some reason. I don't know. It's a weird thing. I've watched it with two separate friends at this point. One friend definitely was like, what the hell am I watching? But they had a good time with it and they watched all of them. And I was like, good on you. And the other friend was taking it much more seriously, that it made it so funny for me to get to the final movie, for those that know the final movie. And they were really upset for about 3/4 of that film. And then the last quarter, they went, oh, I'm so sorry for saying so many mean things to you. And I was just there, big grin on my face, like, oh, don't worry, I lived for that. But, so I was going through that soundtrack, right? I was like, let me just listen to some of these songs. Because for those who know, and if you don't, thank you for listening, there's a lot of really talented artists on the Twilight soundtrack for no good reason. Everyone always likes to make the joke about My Chemical Romance turning down doing a song for Twilight and then making a song about turning down doing a song for Twilight. And then they joke about them being on Yo Gabba Gabba, which is its own separate thing. Like, the conflict there of, we're not gonna do Twilight, but we will go make an appearance on Yo Gabba Gabba, is astounding. But no one ever talks about, I didn't know that CeeLo Green made a song for the Twilight soundtrack. And I recognized it once I started listening, but I'd never seen it with, like, the naming of who was making and singing the song. So my mind was blown. I was like, huh? CeeLo Green? What are you doing in the Twilight universe? Like, I think that that's hilarious, And, like, some other artists, they didn't get the same amount of love. Like, 1,000 Years gets a lot of love. That's a great song, and it's a beautiful one, and it's just a little disheartening that it's attached to Twilight, but I'm glad for it. And then you get other songs and you're like, well, why'd they go and do that? Like, I believe it's Lupe Fiasco. He has a song called Solar Midnight, and it's incredibly different from every other song made for the Twilight movies. And it's because it's not in the Twilight movies, it's in a movie within the Twilight movies. And I was like, well, that felt disrespectful. It shows up for like 30 seconds. It's in the second one. Yeah, that's right. I know which movie it's in. It's the second one. Because that's the one when they go to Italy. But she's in like Bella, the main character, is in like a movie theater watching a movie with a regular human boy that likes her, and Jacob Black, who is a werewolf and also likes her, while her vampire boyfriend's in Italy, because he also likes her, but he's not there. And like, you hear the song like in the scene and in the movie, if you were following along with that. And it's got a really cool guitar riff, and and that's all I can sing because YouTube will strike me down with the fist of God. But it's like, there's some really good songs in there. There's some really good ones, and they don't all get the same amount of love, and it's weird. Like, everyone just likes to commentate on, like, wow, I can't believe that band sold out and made a song for this movie. And it's like, hey, they made good songs. Like, that soundtrack is going to endear a lot longer than those films are, and that is a fact, seeing as we're already 10 years out since the end of the end of the franchise. That's insane. Holy hell. It's so goofy to look back at, like, moments in history and you're like, yeah, this happened like 3 years ago, and it's like, no, it's been 10 years since the last movie. Because the first movie, in case anyone wanted this reminder, came out the same year as everyone's favorite start to the MCU, Iron Man. 2008. Those both came out in 2008. Do you see how drastically different those two films are? Holy heck. It's insane. Oh my gosh. 2008 to 2012, that was the run of the Twilight franchise because it pumped out a movie every year. That way it could just chug along and not have you realize that their immortal vampires are aging. Speaking of songs, as this is the segue I'm going to go through, because I could have segued to a movie because I mentioned the MCU, and I could have segued to another movie because I had mentioned songs, but I'm going to segue to this next thing. That's right. There's actually a lot of topics this time. It created a second page in my notes. Can you believe it? Can you believe the Twilight one wasn't one of my notes? Because I was just listening to it like 30 minutes before I started. Hey, it's Saturday. I know you're hearing this on Monday, and normally I record on Sunday. It is Saturday. I moved my streams around because I'm doing other stuff today, Saturday. So I needed to be available. And because of that, I had to move the stream, so I moved the podcast recording a day earlier. It's very weird to me. In reality, it probably gives Kingsley significantly more time to make a thumbnail. You know, the image that you get to stare at while I talk to you for 40 to 50 minutes. That's Kingsley. Kingsley is also responsible for every thumbnail you see on the gaming YouTube channel, every post you see on the Instagram. All Kingsley. Great graphic designer. I'm glad to know the kid. It's a fun time. Anyways, Scotty Doesn't Know. Hey, do you all know that song? I didn't until like some point within the past year. That's right. I don't remember when I like learned it. Oh wow, my typing is atrocious. But I'd heard the song and I'd been like, "Oh, okay, this is a fun bop." Because that's what you do when you hear a song the first time. You're like, yeah, this is a kind of fun thing to listen to. You don't think anything of it. And then you go back. And you're just kind of like, well, hold on. Wait a second. Wait one moment. So, this song is by a band called Lustra, which I'm pretty certain is a real band. Yes, it is a real band, okay? It was made for the movie Euro Trip in 2004, when I was a wee lad. Never saw Euro Trip. I've always seen the clips. Didn't register that it was Matt Damon that I was looking at, and not a member of the band. Scotty Doesn't Know is one of the most fucked up songs I've ever heard. Now, in the context of the movie, it makes a lot of sense, because I'm pretty certain, if I'm not correct... What? I'm pretty certain, if I'm not wrong, that there's a character in Eurotrip named Scotty, and the song is purposely built around this piece of knowledge he does not know. Yes. So, after the premise of the movie, after a brutal breakup at a high school graduation party, lovelorn Ohio teen Scott Thomas goes on a quest across Europe to find his sexy German pen pal, Micah. Joining him are his brainless buddy and a pair of twins they meet up with in Paris. So that Scott is the Scotty of the song. The song, right? The whole premise of the song is the lead singer talking about the fact that Scotty does not know that his girlfriend is cheating on him with the lead singer dude, right? Just doesn't know. Even though the first line of the song name drops both Scotty and the ex-girlfriend, Fiona. Her name is right there in the song, so it's part of the joke. It's part of Scotty figuring out and getting broken up with and all that, because he's being cheated on. But when you read those lyrics and, like, you listen, it's really messed up. It's like the plot of a whole, like, the subplot of a romance romance novel that people like point to when they justify why the main character is doing something terrible, like cheating on their significant other with someone who's apparently better, even though they might be worse. I'm looking at you, Hallmark movies. You have a terrible tendency of doing that. Like, hey, this guy is much, much worse than the guy she's already with, but he makes her smile. Like, no, what? So does the other guy. He just... Hallmark movies are dumb. But, like, when you read lines like, I can't believe he's so trusting, while I'm right behind you thrusting, Fiona's got him on the phone, and she's trying not to moan. It's a three-way call, and he knows nothing. Whoa! Holy hell, dude. Like, I get the point that the movie was going for, so they had to hammer it home, because it's a comedy. It's a comedy that travels the globe. It's one of those, you know, the early 2000s was filled with so many of those, like, raunchy comedies. Like, you had American Pie, you had Euro Trip, you had whatever they had Ryan Reynolds doing in the National Lampoon movies. Like, there's so many of them, but, like, this song has outlived the just Euro Trip movie itself. And so sometimes you forget about Euro Trip and you just hear this song and you're like, that is such a fucked up thing to be occurring. Holy shit. It's so insane, you know? It's absolutely insane. And I just wanted to bring it back up because I think everyone should remember how insane the song Scotty Doesn't Know is. Because, yeah, it was made for a movie, which is how we got here. You know, it's another song for a movie soundtrack. I promise we're not just going to only talk about songs for movies today. But it's just so odd. Like, you can't just toss that on, like, casually, okay? It's one of those songs where you got to, like, get the group involved. You know, like the John Mulaney bit about ordering fries and comparing it to cocaine. He shouldn't have done that joke. But, like, you know, oh, do you want to listen to Scotty Doesn't Know? Or do you know Scotty Doesn't Know? If I put on Scotty Doesn't Know, will you listen to Scotty Doesn't Know? You will? Okay, we'll put on Scotty Doesn't Know. Like, no. Oh my word. It's like, what's the other one? It's like Stacy's Mom, but 100 times more. Or at least 50% more, you know? Like, it's so... You'll listen to Stacy's Mom and you have a good time, and then if you meet other people that don't know or they know Stacy's Mom, they usually have a good time too. Unless you show them the video first, just start with the song. And it's just like, there's so many things, and it's just like, Scotty doesn't know. But I'm gonna move on from that because I'm gonna move on from that. I've got Spotify Premium. I didn't realize I can get a student account. That's a lie. I did realize I can get a student account. But I just never wanted to. And then I got the inspiration to. And so I did. And that has been allowing me to listen to a bunch of songs without ads, which is really nice. It's the one thing I've hated for a while, pretty much the past decade, is trying to listen to music on anything and it having ads. That's why I only used Pandora for stand-up. Because I didn't mind getting an ad in between, like, stand-up. But when I'm really trying to jam out to music, like, this is why I own CDs. Yeah, I have Spotify Premium now, but I'm still always going to forever go to my CDs first before anything else. I love my CDs. My CDs, they hold my heart. If something happened to them, I'd be upset. I've already got one that was scratched by me on accident, and then I have one that I got scratched. It was a hand-me-down CD, not like I bought it and it was just somehow already scratched. That would be wild. But it was already scratched. And it's kind of disheartening because it's a Red Hot Chili Peppers one. But it is what it is. But I just hate ads. They deter me from listening to things so much. There's so many albums that I told people, yeah, I'll listen to these. And then I don't, because if I don't have it on CD, I refused to, like, listen to it on, like, YouTube or something. Because my issue with how YouTube does it is that they always put ads in weird spots. There's a lot of songs that are like, there's a lot of albums that people build certain songs into to, like, transition into another song. Like, what's a good example? I listened to Stankonia by Outkast, which, if you know the song Miss Jackson, it's that album, and specifically the song before Miss Jackson, So Fresh So Clean. I want to double check That's the song before Miss Jackson. Before I say this wrong. Where is it? Stankonia. Yes. So the song before Miss Jackson is So Fresh, So Clean. And it transitions into Miss Jackson. And I never knew that. I never knew that because I never gotten to listen to it like in order correctly. And I was like, that's pretty dope. But if you are on YouTube, like, you get an ad, it doesn't work out well. If you're on like Spotify not premium, it shuffles the album so you don't hear it in order, which is so dumb. It's so dumb. The first time I heard Hamilton when it came out, like the Broadway cast recording all those years ago, I was listening to it on Spotify, but I didn't have premium, so it was all out of order. It was all out of whack. And so I didn't understand what the story was at times, especially with ads popping up. So I was getting Hamilton out of order and with ads. So I was so confused until I got the album, like the CD, and listened to it in order. And I went, oh, this is the show. It's just the whole show. But it had so much more context when I went from beginning to end rather than weaving in and out. I was like, I hate that. I hate ads so much. I understand why these sites and things need them. I get it. They need to be able to pay all their like subscriptions and like they got to pay for like ad revenue, and if you don't want ads, you've got to pay them because if you're not paying them, then they have to get money from the ads. And it's like, I get that, but I still hate it. I hate it so much, and that's a true story. So, moving on over, because I had written down talking about the Oscar noms and the Razzie noms. I don't know if I'm going to get to them because I'm trying to like make my way through this list. I have them pulled up, but at this rate, might not get there. But I watched Yellow Jackets. I'm not going to spoil it because I highly believe you should go watch Yellow Jackets if you haven't already. It is on Showtime. Excuse me. I only got to get Showtime because of the student plan for Spotify. And I didn't even know Yellow Jackets was on there. I thought it was an HBO show. So I was like, oh, I'll check this out. Because I had a friend recommend it to me. They were like, you should watch Yellow Jackets. And I was like, I don't have a way to, but okay. I'll keep that in mind. And then I got this and I was like, well, let me watch this show. And I watched it and I was like, wow. This is good. It's so good, guys. It is so good. The show is split between, I believe it's 1996 and 2021. Yes, because that would be 25 years. It is split between 1996 and 2021. The premise is that a female high school soccer team on their way to nationals crashes in I think it's the Ozark Mountains. Is where they are. I don't know I don't know where the Ozark Mountains are. I'm pretty certain that's what they say, is that they're in the Ozark Mountains. If that's a real thing. And not all of them survive. In 2021, there's only 5 of them left. 4 of the soccer team members, and then the oldest son of one of the what do you call it? Of the coach, the oldest son of one of the coaches. And so everyone wants to know, hey, what happened? What occurred out there in that there forest? You mind telling us? And no one has spoken in 25 years. But there's crazy things happening in 2021. And there were crazy things happening in 1996. And it was really dope. I really enjoyed the cast. A lot of the actors that were playing, like the teens, like I could tell, I know they were young adults. I knew a good chunk of them. I believe, I don't want to butcher her name. I think it's Jasmine Savoy Brown. Plays teen Thaisa in the show. And, dude, I think I had her name right. She's rocking everything I keep seeing her in, which has only been 2 things so far, and a video game. Jasmine Savoy Brown was Finn / the Tinkerer in Spider-Man Miles Morales, aka the main villain, and then she was also over in, what is that movie? In Scream. She was over in Scream, which is another one I wanted to talk about, but I'm still giving that some time. It's still very fresh. It's only been about a month. She was killing it. I don't remember the names. I don't remember many of the other actresses' names, except I think Melanie Linsky, who was adult Shauna, who is essentially our main character, which was funny because she's not technically like the main character in 1996 half, but either way, she was killing it, and the young her was killing it too, and they looked pretty much the same. So I wouldn't have been surprised if that was just a de-aged her or something, just a really convincing one, because they looked genuinely related, like not just related, but like yeah, that was her as a child, or I mean a teen or whatever. Like that show was so good, and I highly recommend it to people. This isn't a weird Showtime advertisement, because I hate streaming services. I saw an ad for a thing that like essentially it was like cable. It was cable for streaming services, and people have joked for so long about the idea of something coming along to essentially act how like cable providers act over cable and like TV, where it's like, hey, if you pay through us, we'll give you all of these things at this cost instead of this cost, and you just have to stay in this contract for 17,000 years, you know? And so I saw that, and I said, oh no, we've done it. We've hit the point. We have hit the point where people are like, what if I get them to pay me to watch these things from these streaming services? And I'm just like, no, stop. We're just going to go back to the golden age of pirating. I love being a pirate. Arg. I love being a pirate. Arg. That is... that is a sentence, and I loved it dearly. But Yellow Jackets was a really good show. I didn't binge it. It was spread out over a couple of days. It's 10 episodes. It's not too long. It's not too much of your time. For those that like to binge things, you could easily crank it out in a day. And you'll have a good time with it. And then we can talk about it. I love to talk to people about shows and music and stuff. It's really nice. So you should do that, because I like to speak. Moving on over, and I'll use this one as the segue into the Oscar and Razzie noms. Tick Tick Boom. So I was putting Tick Tick Boom off, like to watch for a while, and then it got like nominated, and I said, well, I need to go and get into this, because I performed Therapy, the number Therapy from Tick Tick Boom. Tick Tick Boom is a musical, written by Jonathan Larson. May he rest in peace. He's the composer and writer for Rent. He wrote Rent the musical. He didn't get to see its opening night. He passed before that occurred in, I think, 96. Wow. Is that correct? That might not be correct. I believe it was 96. But he did Tick Tick Boom he was writing that one while writing Rent. And it got finished up by, I think it was friends or family or something. And they put that on, and it's essentially like a biography of his life. Like, there are parts he's made up. We will never know what parts, because we'll never get the confirmation from him. Duh. But it was a beautiful film. There was moments that really stuck home with me, that truly just kind of made me sad. And there were other parts that I really resonated with. There's one song that is just filled with cameos from a bunch of other famous people. And, not famous people, like famous Broadway people. It's pretty cool. And it was an all-around amazing time. I'm glad I got to witness it finally. The reason I was putting it off is the person I did the therapy number with, we kind of fizzled out in our friendship, and we were very close, very connected. And so, understandably, like, I didn't really want to deal with things associated with them, and that was a big one, because we were supposed to take it to a competition, to Thespian State competition, because we got a superior district, and it was my senior year of high school, so we were going to take that. And then COVID happened, so it didn't happen, and that's fine. So I just kind of had always buried it in the back of my head. Like, I acknowledged it, but then when the movie was made, I was like, I don't know if I can sit through this. And then I sat through it, and it was very cathartic. It was a very cathartic feeling for me. I know if I went and watched Tick Tick Boom again, I'd be able to watch it from a more analytical point of view as a filmmaker, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with the analytical point of view And there's nothing wrong with not having an analytical point of view when it comes to watching movies. Sometimes you just want to see things explode. But it was nice. It was nice. It almost felt like closure, which is a weird thing to say, but I know it wasn't. But yes, Tick Tick Boom was really good. Andrew Garfield gave a stunning performance in that movie. It was kind of insane to my brain to think about as I was like watching him on the screen, because he's not a like musical theater guy. He's a theater guy, but musical theater isn't normally his thing. I know he trained for like a year just to go do this role, and I was like, well, that's dedication, and it shows. I really enjoyed the performance that he put in as Jonathan Larson. You know, it was very interesting. But I'm going to use that to segue into the Oscar noms, because it got nominated for a lot of things, a pretty solid chunk of things. It didn't hit Best Picture. Out of the Best Picture ones, I saw 1, 2, 3. Don't Look Up, which I did not enjoy, and I know people will come at me for. King Richard, which I thought was fine, but it was very much posed as a biopic about King Richard, about the father of Serena and Venus Williams, and about halfway through it kind of shifts gears to not focus on him, which is fine. And then West Side Story, which I thought was fantastic, and there's a lot of controversy. I know it's another musical going on behind the scenes with it, with one of its leads. Drinking my water real quick. And I don't know. I think that stuff is weird, but hey, it's good. I like that one. But yeah, like I I went through all these noms with like a friend. We looked at some of them. Ariana DeBose. I don't know if I said her name correctly, so I'm sorry, but she was nominated for actress in supporting role from West Side Story. I thought that was pretty dope. It was kind of unexpected to me, but I was like, okay, that's really cool. That's really cool. And then didn't none of the ones I knew got nominated for actors in supporting role. I know J.K. Simmons. I know Jesse Plemons. I think they're pretty dope people. They're pretty cool actors. I just didn't see Being the Ricardos or The Power of the Dog, which I know The Power of the Dog is on Netflix. I've not touched Netflix in a while. I've not done it. It is what it is. I didn't watch the documentaries. Didn't even know the documentaries were a thing. No Time to Die, like the song by Billie Eilish, got nominated for Best Original Song alongside one from King Richard, which has Beyonce, and then one from Encanto. And I felt weird about the Encanto one, because obviously the fan favorite choice for song nominated for Encanto would have probably been We Don't Talk About Bruno. And I understand that this being the Oscars, they went with the one that would resonate with people, so it's the more emotional, heavy-hitting one. But I think that was a bad choice. I don't know. I get a good laugh out of seeing 5 animated feature films, and 3 of them are all from Disney: Encanto, Luca, and Raya and the Last Dragon. Didn't see The Mitchells vs. the Machines. I didn't see Flea. I didn't see Raya and the Last Dragon. I saw Luca. I saw Encanto. I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. King Richard, Don't Look Up, they both got nominated for Best Original Screenplay. Dune, Power of the Dog, nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay. I want to watch both The Power of the Dog and Drive My Car. I keep seeing Drive My Car like pop up, and I know it's also nominated, I think, for Best, what is it? What is that very first category? The big one? Best Picture, and then it's also nominated under the International Feature Film section. Drive My Car. Yeah. The premise of it, an aging widowed actor seeks a chauffeur. The actor turns to his go-to mechanic, who ends up recommending a 20-year-old girl. Despite their initial misgivings, a very special relationship develops between the two. It seems like it's a nice, interesting, like, film. Not something crazy, not something over the top. It seems like it's a good one. My nose. Yeah, I don't know why these were down here. That was weird. I don't know why CNN listed it like this. I mean, that's where I'm reading these from. Andrew Garfield got nominated for Tick, Tick, Boom, actor in a leading role, and I thought that was freaking amazing. I was like, that's cool. I really hope he wins it because he killed it. No offense to Will Smith playing King Richard, but hey, dude, Andrew Garfield was killing it in Tick, Tick, Boom. And I think everyone's kind of realizing that because haven't heard anyone talk about Denzel in The Tragedy of Macbeth. No one is talking about Benedict in The Power of the Dog or Javier Bardem in Being the Ricardos. I keep hearing about Andrew Garfield. And I think his only real competition in that category is Will Smith, which is fine. Didn't see any of the movies that actresses in a leading role are coming from, which makes me feel bad. But I am quite pleasantly surprised to see Kristen Stewart get nominated for Spencer. I've heard such wonderful things about that movie. And I would like to find a moment at some point in my life to get around to watching it. Because I kind of want to see what they did. You know? I know it was centered around like just a small moment in the life of Princess Diana. But I'm still intrigued, you know? And then that Spencer conversation is gonna lead us to the Razzie noms. Just you wait. Best Director, Kenneth Branagh, Ryosuke Hamaguchi, which, please don't murder me if I butchered that. Paul Thomas Anderson, Jane Campion, and Steven Spielberg. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. West Side Story and Dune are competing in the same category for production design, alongside The Tragedy of Macbeth, Nightmare Alley, and The Power of the Dog, which I was like, okay. Tragedy of Macbeth, that one's weird to me. It didn't get any hype outside of like the initial announcement that one of the two Coen brothers, aka Joel and Ethan Coen, were making an adaptation of Macbeth. And I was like, well, that sounds dope. And then they dropped a single trailer like at some other point, and I went, well, that looks cool. And then I never heard anything again. That was it. They flopped it out, and they just kept on going with their lives. And I was like, well, okay. Cinematography, Dune, Nightmare Alley, Power of the Dog, Tragedy Macbeth, West Side Story. I was like, that makes sense. Dune, I've been hearing so much about the cinematography of Dune. At this point, it's going to run me over. But I was like, okay, that makes sense. People like that. It looked good. I really liked the cinematography of West Side Story. That one was pretty cool. I can only say that because that's the only one I saw in that category. Costume design. Now, Nightmare Alley, I've seen the bits and pieces of that. I was like, that makes sense. Guillermo del Toro, we love him. West Side Story, yeah, okay. It's weird that this CNN article has West Side as one word in costume design, even though they had it as 2 words in cinematography and everywhere else. But suddenly, after this point, it all becomes one word, and I think that's hilarious. But also in this category is Dune, which I was like, okay. And then Cyrano, which isn't out yet, so that confused me. And then Cruella. And a lot of people have been telling me that Cruella is probably going to sweep that category as like the one thing it's nominated in. And I was like, yeah, I don't doubt it. I'm going to skip through this. Best Original Score. Encanto is in there alongside like Don't Look Up and Dune. I haven't heard any of the score of The Power of the Dog. I've heard the score from Don't Look Up and Dune. I think Encanto has an unfair advantage, seeing as it's a musical. But that's besides the point. Visual effects, it's where you find all your big action films. So it's the only ones in here are Dune, Free Guy, No Time to Die, Shang-Chi, and Spider-Man No Way Home. And I wouldn't be surprised if Spider-Man No Way Home is going to win visual effects because, I think the world would explode. If it didn't, even if it lost to another Marvel film, I think the world might still explode. And I don't agree with that explosion, but the world would explode. And that's just the truth. Film editing, Tick, Tick, Boom, King Richard, Dune, Don't Look Up, Power of the Dog. It makes sense. And then at the very end here, makeup and hairstyling, we see the first noms for Coming to America. Because it's not called Coming to America 2, it's Coming the number 2 America, because they were so cool. House of Gucci. Yeah, House of Gucci has no other noms, and that's insane. Haven't seen it yet. I've been hearing a weird set of mixed things about it, and so I don't know how to feel. And then also The Eyes of Tammy Faye, Dune, Cruella. It's very interesting. Now, remember when I mentioned Kristen Stewart in Spencer, right? Let's go back to Kristen Stewart in Spencer real quick. And then go to the Razzie noms, where Spencer is not in this list, I promise you. But Diana the Musical is. Now, I didn't know, right, that Diana the Musical was a thing. It's on Broadway. I'm going to take a sip of water while you let that sink in, that this is on Broadway. Now you might be saying to yourself, well, if it's on Broadway, how are they giving it a Razzie nom? That's for movies. Yeah, there is a pro cut shot. It's close to what it's called. Of this musical on Netflix, as in Netflix is the one that got the rights to distribute the pro shot of their production of Diana the Musical. And I tell you this right now, so much of Diana the Musical is on this list of Razzie noms that am not even it's almost, wouldn't be surprised if it sweeps it. It's going to sweep the Razzies. Okay? There's only one category it can't sweep, and we'll get to that category. Right? It's in here for Worst Picture, alongside Infinite, Karen, which I forgot was even coming out, and thus means I missed it. Space Jam: A New Legacy, which deserves to win, and The Woman in the Window, which I think out of these 5 films, The Woman in the Window is the only one that, like, I've heard bad things about, but I know it's not a bad film in the same way that the rest of these kind of are. But I guess it is what it is. Worst actor, Scott Eastwood in Dangerous. The guy that's playing Prince Charles in Diana the Musical, LeBron James, for Space Jam. Ben Platt for Dear Evan Hansen, which tickled me the right way, because I hate that movie. And then Mark Wahlberg in Infinite, which I didn't even know he was in. Worst actress, I felt bad seeing Amy Adams for The Woman in the Window. I was like, okay, yeah. I guess if they nommed it for Worst Picture, she would be in here for Worst Actress. Jenna DeWall for Diana the Musical. I do enjoy that for Jenna DeWall, or Gianna, sorry, I read that wrong, DeWall. They didn't say who she was playing the same way they said this Roy Hartranft dude, the guy playing Prince Charles, in Diana the Musical, which implies me to think that he's playing more than just Prince Charles. Megan Fox, Taryn Manning, Ruby Rose. I don't know what Vanquish is. I do not know what Midnight in the Switchgrass is, but I'm almost certain that that's the awful Bruce Willis movie that is the reason we all have to deal with the MGK Megan Fox relationship now. We're supporting actress. Here's Amy Adams again, this time for Dear Evan Hansen, because I forgot she's in that movie. Someone for Infinite, another human being for Diana the Musical. Someone got nominated for both of her characters in Diana the Musical. And then Taryn Manning for a different movie than the one where she was nominated for Worst Actress. And then Worst Supporting Actor, Ben Affleck in The Last Duel, which is very surprising to me. I didn't get to see The Last Duel. I didn't know Ben Affleck was in The Last Duel, but I didn't think it could be that bad. Nick Cannon in The Misfits, don't know what that is. Mel Gibson in Dangerous. I didn't know he was still acting. Kind of thought we'd finally gotten rid of him. It is what it is. Someone got nominated for being James Hewitt, the muscle-bound horse trainer in Diana the Musical, which is a sentence and a half. And then Jared Leto for House of Gucci, which, I guess, I've heard a lot of mixed things about Jared Leto's performance in House of Gucci. Not just because he was under so much, like, makeup, but also, like, his accent was apparently interesting, and just, I don't know, but I haven't heard distinctly bad things about Jared Leto in House of Gucci. So I'm kind of curious. The one category that that cannot be swept by Diana the Musical is the worst performance by Bruce Willis in a 2021 movie, which, holy hell, he had enough movies to get his own special category with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 films. Bruce Willis put out 8 films. And they're going to decide which one was the worst performance of 2021. There's a pretty funny category, Worst Screen Couple, which I'm going to read these to you because they're pretty goofy. Any klutzy cast member and any lamely lyricized or choreographed musical number, Diana the Musical. LeBron James and any Warner cartoon character or Time Warner product he dribbles on in Space Jam: A New Legacy. Jared Leto and either his 17-pound latex face, his geeky clothes, or his ridiculous accent, House of Gucci. Ben Platt and any other character who acts like Platt singing 24/7 is normal, Dear Evan Hansen. And Tom and Jerry, aka Itchy and Scratchy, in Tom and Jerry. Oh, that was so goofy to me. They have a list of worst remake, ripoff, or sequel, which apparently Karen is an inadvertent remake of just Cruella de Vil, which I didn't know. Space Jam: A New Legacy is in here, which makes 100% sense. Tom and Jerry, yeah. Twist, hey, didn't know we made a movie that was a rap remake of Oliver Twist. And we need to talk about that, I guess. I don't know who to turn to yell at about that. And then The Woman in the Window, which is a ripoff of Rear Window, which, yes, it is. Yes, people will be like, well, it's kind of different. I'd be like, yeah, but not enough. Then some people got nominated for Worst Director. There's a person who goes by the name Coke Daniels. It's in parentheses, and I think that's hilarious. And then at the very end, the last one they've got there is the worst screenplay. And they have Diana the Musical, Gara and the Misfits, Twist, and The Woman in the Window. And I just think all these nominations are so funny. I don't know why this person is named Coke Daniels, and I want to Google it. Why do you go by Coke? Coke Daniels. What's your real name, Coke? He's known for exactly three movies. 3 movies. Oh no. Kind of looks familiar. I can't lie. Scoffs at idea he ripped off. Oh no. It's a thing to read another day. What does this full title say? Karen director get Coke Daniels scoffs at idea he ripped off Get Out. Oh, Jeezy Pete's. Did he? How? In this movie? That's a question for another day, if you guys want it answered. Cool. I made it through them all. I didn't get through, I got through like a quarter of the things I had written down, right? But there's still a good chunk of them I didn't get to. And that's fine, because I'm going to go ahead and end the podcast. Yep, the podcast. I'm going to end the podcast off there. So thank you guys so much for joining me for the What a Thought podcast. If you liked it, make sure to let me know and give me your thoughts down in the comments. If you prefer to send me a direct message, if you click the link in the description, you'll get access to my Twitter and my Instagram. Those are the only places where you will find me. If anything else pops up, it'll only end up in there. And if it's not in there, that means it's not me. So yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. If you have any suggestions, thoughts, comments that you want me to talk about, or that you want to bring up, like maybe my mic is too quiet, or maybe it's too loud, things like that, also tell me in those same places already mentioned. If you're looking for something different, I have a gaming YouTube channel where I play games. I post a video every single day. There's no way for you to miss it. It's every day, baby. Oh, that was funny to me. Maybe if you just want something else entirely, I've got the Twitch. I stream twice a week. The games are alternating back and forth. This week, that just finished by the time you hear this, it was Hotline Miami and Red Dead Redemption. Coming up is Final Fantasy 13-2, and what's the other one? Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which is a mouthful of a title. I don't like the way that the colon falls. I don't like that it's Star Wars Jedi, Fallen Order. That makes me feel weird. I feel like it should just be Jedi Fallen Order. I think Star Wars should have a colon after it, and then it's Jedi Fallen Order, even if you put another colon in, but whatever. That's just me. That's semantics. Thank you guys again. This has been the What a Thought podcast. I'll see you all next week.